It wasn't like it used to be where essentially Rodgers had Jordy Nelson and he was only going to lock it on Jordy, and then everybody else was B, C, and D. He dumped it to Jones 7 times. Jimmy Graham had 3 passes. Geronimo Allison had a couple of passes. But he spread it around. I mean, what was it? 8 different players, I think, or 9 different players caught passes from maybe even 10 yesterday from Rodgers. He didn't lock it on one guy, didn't need one guy to have a big game, and did that again without Adams. And defensively, until the frantic last quarter plus, that Packers defense totally stymied the Cowboys and perplexed Dak Prescott. And Zeke ends the day with only 62 yards. Now, granted, the Cowboys had to kind of get out of run the football mode late because they had trailed by so much. But the Packers spent money finally and spent money in free agency on defense, and it is paying dividends. Za'Darius Smith is awesome, and they just have a very balanced defense and a secondary that can hold their own. I also think Matt LaFleur is a good coach, and not just because they're winning. I've liked the approach LaFleur has taken since he got there. Some young coaches might be too deferential to Aaron Rodgers. Other coaches might be insecure that Rodgers gets too much power and try to prove themselves. I think he's walked a really good line in between it. I don't think he feels like a pushover, but I don't think he has felt like a know-it-all. And I think that the Packers have something right now. I really do. Because when you look at the Packers' 4-1 start, they haven't even really played a great 60 minutes of football yet. I mean, yesterday, the first 35, 40 minutes, that's about as good as the Packers can play. And had they ended up winning that game by 21 points, 28 points, we would have said that's the game. But they beat the Bears in week number 1, and the offense was awful. They beat the Vikings in week number 2, and the offense was great in the first half. The second half, they went to bed. They beat a bad Broncos team in week number 3. And then yesterday, they played a great 3.5 quarters and then an iffy final quarter and a half. I think the Packers are super scary. I think they're super, super scary because they're stacking wins right now and not playing their best football. So what happens if they finally play their best football November, December, going into the playoffs? I think it's refreshing that the Packers finally have a roster and a team that supplements and complements Aaron Rodgers instead of making him put it all on his shoulders.